prices are going to be nice and lovely, very distorted and all over the place. So you never know what you're going to be able to find. It's going to make for a little bit of an interesting race to try to find some power, but I suspect our runners will probably go the usual route of getting everything started, doing their searches, and I see we are underway.
We're off. So, our starting two characters, Edgar and Realm, we do have unique random commands on, so it looks like we're starting with a health, and I missed the other one. I wonder if that health was on Realm. That'll be very powerful if so. If it's on Edgar, not quite as much.
Yeah.
Steel is our other one. Not one of my favorite abilities. Steel is kind of a level-based check, and if you're not a very strong level against your opponents, it just doesn't work, and I don't like it. But
right.
there is plenty of good stuff out there to steal if you can. So we already have early flame shields and Ragnaroks up there on Mr. Energy's screen in the Returner's hideout. So let's see, we got a couple people. So we're at 3 different treasure locations. We got a couple people checking out Narsh. We've got the Returner's hideout, and Fraggle has moved straight on to South Figaro, where he just picked up an experience egg. Nice.
Nice, yeah, absolutely. The scaling on the enemies tonight is going to be party's average level, so that experience egg obviously will boost that up a little bit faster, but if you can get yourself a really good party, just get those levels up fast, and then your other party members can kind of drag down the average level to maybe make things a little bit easier for you.
Right, yeah, not as dangerous as when doing party highest level, as you don't want to keep an experience egg on one person that whole time, but a little less dangerous with an average. I saw more elemental shields over there on Mildane's screen, so the seat is being very generous up front.
Oh, that's definitely good to see, especially if you are the runners. I see Fraggle sneaking into the South Figaro, basically the basement imprisonment area back in the back way. Not typically used to seeing that.
Yeah, he does like doing that. Saves a little time if all you're looking for is the treasure. If you're going all the way through and want to pick up, if you have Celis in your party, then I think it'll save you a couple seconds to go the other way. So Mr. Entity hitting up the throne check where he found a Shote Esper. As a reminder, you can see on your screen, it's mostly an Esper hunt tonight. 4 character requirement and 12 Espers to get into Kefka's tower. No dragons. And dragons will be unscaled tonight, so no easy pickings then. They got to make sure they're ready to go before they want to fight a dragon. But with all this stuff they're picking up, you could be earlier than we think.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to give it a shot. It's like Mildane's headed to the throne check as well, and Zero Rush is taking the long way around to that backdoor treasure room in Narsh. One of the lesser checked treasure areas, just because it's so far out of the way, but I have seen, obviously it's completely random, but I've seen some good stuff back here, so it can be worth a look as he picks up a ribbon and force armor already.
Right. Yeah, and I think there was a ribbon in the Lone Wolf room in Narsh, so that's 2 already that we've seen.
They're probably hoping they'll pick up Locke, see if they can get a decent cursed shield out of this, but we'll have to see if he makes an appearance tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the numbers on the cursed shield went from 1 to 32, if I remember the seed correctly. So
I think
too bad potentially.
Yes, 1 to 32. Shouldn't be too bad if they can find it early. You can get into those upper numbers, but like at the start, if you get maybe a 16 or something, that's okay. But the deeper you get into the seed, obviously, you always want a lower number. But once I'm about half an hour, 40 minutes in, if I see anything over a 10, I'm just not going to bother.
Yeah.
But it also depends on the route they want to take and how much grinding they want to do. So it can be worth it. A ribbon makes it pretty easy. All you have to contend with is the countdown clock. So you can see if. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see if we even find Locke.
Yeah, that's true. If we don't find him, then all that conversation's for a moot.
Yeah. Well, it's a lesson to people at home. Next time you find Locke.
Yeah, go get that shield, or at least check out its number.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Mildane's making the journey to the Returner's hideout, where he's going to find some tasty stuff over there. Let's see. So I think I may have missed it, but I think he left the hidden chest alone, and that may have been the one with the Ragnarok in it.
I believe it was, yeah. So
I'm not sure
it
if he
did,
doesn't
then
know
it would
about it, or I know some people just choose to leave it alone because it's it's a few extra steps out of the way and for a singular chest, and often that's a good strategy. Oh, there's another elemental shield. Man, this seat is full of them. But with did I choose random chests? No, this is just shuffle plus 20% random chests as well.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be an opportunity for some great stuff in there, as we've seen. And Mr. Entity is already fighting time, so he's taking on Haydn. But we do have the no undead flag turned on, so no, that only applies to bosses. Regular undead enemies will still be undead, but Haydn, Ghost Train, and the second form of Signor Behemoth, you have to kill the hard way tonight. No Revivifies or Phoenix Downs.
That's unfortunate. Oh well, when you have a fire shield that you can use to toss a nice dose of Fire 3 at your enemies, that certainly helps, though.
Yep, and he's going to want to be careful with that because tonight we have tiered spells on Espers. So what that means is the good spells, quote unquote, will be much harder to find. So, well, he's just gonna throw them anyway. So now that, as we see, Edgar has a low magic stats. He's just not good at spells. And also, when you're dividing it against that other Haydnite, which absorbs all elements, the damage is not great. So, it hadn't paid off too well for him. But if he can get through the fight, that's probably the most important part, just to collect that XP, which he does.
Yeah.
And as a
Nice.
reminder, it's split XP, so Edgar will should get a whole ton of it from this fight. We'll have to see.
Okay.
Yeah, 5,200 XP for your first fight is pretty good. So Realm will be lagging behind, but we'll see if he found that experience egg. I'm not sure if he did, but that'll be a boon if he did. Another thing to consider when you've got an Edgar start is that he gets half-price shops in World of Ruin, South Figaro, and of course at the Figaro Castle shops. So I'm wondering if he's taking advantage of that. It's a good place in this particular seed to maybe find some Super Balls at half price.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any antidotes to get rid of the poison screen, so...
Yeah, they're not a popular buy in the randomizer for some reason, but they're always super cheap, and I always make sure to pick some up. Of course, if you do run across them, there's certainly a chance you just didn't see them in any shops, but
yeah,
I love to have them around because that stuff is annoying.
Yeah, a little bit.
So let's see. Nobody else, I don't think, has taken on a fight yet. We're still doing some shopping, some looking around. I do see two people with Espers, so Zero Rush and Mildane have both taken that throne check, gotten their show. While Fraggle's still looking for stuff.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, you don't have to be as intimidated in terms of the checks and such as you would be with, say, like you said, with party highest level, or if you went progress ×2 or ×3. But yeah, still want to make sure you get all your good stuff in the places where you know they are before you go gallivanting off to try to kill things.
Right, and as a matter of fact, I would be collecting as much money as I can and go buy that Esper from the dude at Zen, the thief in the woods, because all the free checks are absolutely free. I mean, outside from the money. I mean, as far as scaling goes, do all your free stuff up front, because it has no effect on the enemy scaling right now, and it can only get you a useful Esper or a useful item. So that's what I'd be doing.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen anybody check that yet, have we? The
Not
man
that
in
I've
the woods.
seen.
Okay.
So Fraggle's taking advantage of the dual world chests in South Figaro. You can get all the outdoor barrels and treasure checks in both worlds.
Yeah, that's definitely handy. It's a. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that's double up. That's a good at least 10, maybe 12 treasure checks you can do fairly quickly.
Yeah, Yeah, and from my understanding, it's been a fairly recent addition to the randomizer, so I think a lot of people are accustomed to it now, but it may still be kind of trickling in here and there as far as knowledge is concerned.
For sure. I often forget about it. Just usually because I'll get into a groove as part of my regular route, and sometimes I'll figure I'll have enough to just go for it, and then I'll forget all about it for the rest of the game.
Right. It looks like Mr. Entity is about to do the Owser check on Realm's end of things.
Nice. I think this is an underrated check. People tend to avoid it for whatever reason. There are 2 fixed encounters before you get to the boss. However, they are just, regular encounters in this seed. There are no chance of bosses. And in this particular seed, you can run from anything. So if you do find something that you are going to run into trouble with, can't beat, whatever, there's always the option to run. But other than that, it's a fairly quick check. So I like this one. It's one people often don't do, and if there's something good here, you can use that to get a leg up on the competition.
Right, yeah. Alright, I see Mildane checking some shops in Moblis, which is certainly on the way if you're heading toward the Esper Mountain check or right around Thamasa. It's right on the way anyway, so why not at least give it a look?
Right. There is one treasure check here in the clock in this building if he wants to go for it. Also accessible in the World of Ruin. Looks like he's just going to go check out the relic shop. But Zero Rush is in Zen. I haven't seen him talk to the guy yet. Looks like he's going to do that now, maybe. Yep. And relatively cheap. Just about 7,500 GP to find the whatever he's got. So I'm going to do a little selling here, and we'll see what that is.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I'm so used to that running into 50 and 60,000 range.
So Franklin in the chat just said if they hit up Narsh and Returner's Hideout, you can get all 3 elemental shields, which come in super handy because elemental shields not only absorb their element and nullify the opposite element, they also teach you the tier 2 spells of that element if you wear them long enough. And then, of course, you can break them for a defense-ignoring tier 3 spell, which is great. So that's a real...
Yeah, that's one thing that, me being at least relatively newer, kind of still getting my legs under me with the game, I need to be thinking about that a little bit more in terms of how I play. So it's good to see that sort of used here to try to kind of take notes on, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. I think elemental shields are not necessarily underutilized because everybody likes them, but there are several tactics you can do with them that I think people are not as aware of, kind of like learning the tier 2 spells. And yeah, confirmed it was the hidden chest back there with the Ragnarok in it, so...
Okay.
Kind of a bummer for Mildane, who didn't go check it, but, with all the rest of the stuff this seed is providing, he'll probably be fine.
Yeah. I can't imagine he's too out of sorts.
Found his own hide and check. Let's see how he tackles it. And Fraggle's right there with him.
Yeah. It looks like that flare proc on the Ragnarok is doing Fraggle some good credit here.
And Mr. Entity, I'm not sure which Esper that was, but he does have an Esper that gives magic power +2, which is probably the best thing you can find at the beginning of a seed with Realm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She'll be murdering at full capacity in short order. Now the thing is, some people leave that magic power +2 Esper on her basically the whole game, which is actually unnecessary because she'll hit the cap, well, most likely depending on gear, but she'll hit the cap sooner than anybody else. So I like to keep it on for the first 10, 15, maybe 20 levels, and then you're pretty much good to go and can take advantage of it on another character. So I'll have to see how they manage their Esper bonuses, but looks like Fraggle made it through, and he's headed straight to the Figaro Cave Tentacles fight here in World of Ruin. Mildane having a little trouble with Haydn, but it's not in bad shape yet. And at the end of Owser's Mansion is a ghost train.
Which sadly we cannot suplex.
Can't suplex, can't revivify or Phoenix down, but should give him relatively little trouble. Scarbeam not not the best one. It does do some decent damage even at low levels, but that reminds me, the enemy abilities are vanilla. So we do have options in the randomizer to scale them, either with their in between or in relation to their own elements, or completely random where they toss out all kinds of stuff. But in this seed, what you see in vanilla is what you'll get in the randomizer in terms of what the enemies can use.
I was going to say, that then leads to the question. I certainly don't remember seeing Ghost Train use any Scar Beams when I played vanilla.
Yeah, I think it's a rare ability, but I believe he's the only one. It could be a she, who knows? It is the only thing that can use Scar Beam in the game, as far as I know.
Okay.
Unless I mean, there may be something obscure, but it's a pretty rare ability. Looks like the Owser's Mansion check, however, is dead. I think it was an Aegis shield as a reward. So
Correct.
a good shield, good pickup, but not gonna advance him towards Kefka's tower. And it looks like he's checking out the auction house for some early Esper buying plays. Did the auction house have glowing stones available? Did you see?
Yes, it does.
Cool. So he'll maybe do some selling and maybe see what he can sell. Although there are super balls available, which are super handy at the start of a seed. Their damage calculation is ridiculous, and I don't know how it works, but it's something like can stack up to 1 to 4 targets, but it can stack targets, and then it's multiples of 256, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it can do a lot of damage up front. It has nothing to do with your level or stats or anything. It's totally random. And can put up big damage at the start of a seed. You can one-shot a lot of bosses, or you can basically do nothing and waste 10 grand.
I was about to say, yeah, those numbers feel like they would probably break my brain if I tried to figure them out. Oh, there's another ribbon in Ruin South Figaro, so that's 3 that we've seen so far.
Ribbon Party. And they sell for good money. I mean, I would keep 1 around maybe on that off chance we get Locke. And they can come in handy for the final Kefka battle. But yeah, just ditch the other ones in favor of better stuff, I think.
All right, looks like our tentacles turned into cranes today.
Demon Pasta.
Yeah, I know.
So Zero Rush took out his hide and fight, and so did Mildane. So he's checking the treasure beyond there, while Mr. Entity goes and checks out some half-price shops and other treasure in South Figaro.
So you said the half-price shops in South Figaro is only in Ruin Figaro, correct?
Correct. For whatever reason, World of Balance doesn't care about their king, and World of Ruin finally appreciates him, I suppose. So yeah, if you do have Edgar at the start, put him at the front of your party. He does have to be in the first spot to get the discount.
Right.
And then head to World of Ruin and do your shopping there. At worst, you can get half price, Phoenix Downs and elixirs and whatever other items you want to use.
Yeah. Well, I guess the way that you could phrase it in terms of lore is, by the time you get to the Ruined World, there's so little business in South Figaro that they're just desperate to have their king buy anything from them.
Could be.
The best thing I can think of, at least.
I always thought it was weird that if you have Sabin in your party, he gets the haven't you heard I'm a notorious spendthrift message. I just assumed they would double or add 50% or something to the prices if that was your response, but they don't.
Yeah, it just doesn't change anything, does it?
Right. No, it just gives you an extra message to make it longer.
Yeah. Oh, so the South Figaro, the castle check gave us Alexander.
Ah, nice. I noticed stop, and was that flare on it that I saw?
Yep, that's what I saw.
So flare is a decent spell. It has good spell power. It's non-elemental, but it does have an extremely long spell animation. It's one of, if not the longest. So it's not something you want to rely on throughout the seed, but it can get you out of some early jams, especially if you have someone like Realm using it.
Yeah.
It looks like Franklin says both the 2 Espers that Mr. Entity and I believe Mildane picked up early have +2 magic power on them, so not too much to worry about there. And Zero Rush is headed back up to Narsh Mountain, see what he's going to do up there. Maybe check out the... Is he in World of Balance or World of Ruin?
Looks like
Balance.
he's in Balance.
And he lucked out, found himself. That's where Terra's hiding. However, he's going to have to try to do it solo. This fight will make you split your parties, and hopefully it's something he can take out. That's a good find early. Granted, there aren't too many checks available with these starting characters, but finding this early will give him a big lead if he can take out this whatever boss this is. As Terra is not only a great character in combat, but she opens up 5 checks herself.
Yeah.
See if this is working now. All right, great. So, for those of you who just joined, this is Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, our open world randomizer. Come on and join our Discord if this looks interesting to you. If it's your first time playing it, seeing it, getting started, there's lots of resources to help you out. A lot of helpful people on there to get you going with your first seed. So please come on by and check it out. And give our runners and our our crew, I guess, the first C, a follow. I'm sure they would appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. All these runners are really great members and runners in the community. So yeah, definitely give all of them a follow. And because they're doing a good job entertaining us tonight, we always appreciate that. So it looks like the Kefka battle is Kefka.
Did we even randomize this race?
Well, I mean, you said you didn't randomize you didn't randomize part of it, so the enemy abilities at least. So I guess it just bled through to this.
Yeah, luckily that should give him a little problem. Although the poison's doing pretty good work on Edgar there, so luckily he has free cure 2s available with his health move.
Yeah.
So a little problem with this. Both Fraggle and Mildane and Mr. Entity down in the headed to the Figaro cave in the basement dungeon thing for Edgar's check. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's head to the ancient castle, which is Edgar's 3rd check. However, it is a long one. It's a long climb or a long trek. There is some treasure along the way, but there is no warping back. It's a time sink, so we'll have to see if they want to take it all the way or maybe go check it. I think their only one left is Kefka Battle after this, so I'd imagine they're going to go all the way with it, but we'll see.
Yeah. Huh. I was going to say, showing me a couple of treasure rooms in the ancient castle that I'd forgotten about.
Yeah, I did. I counted them one time weeks ago just to find out how many there are, and there are quite a bit. If you go through all the way through Edgar's three checks through Figaro Castle, there's something like 17 treasure checks or something. It's a lot. So it's great to do early, since there's only one boss and an optional dragon. The only problem is, well, 2 problems. It's a long check, and like I said, you can't warp out. And B, you can't get stuck down there, but you can get all the way there and realize you can't beat the boss, and then you have to go somewhere else and level up. But anyway, great check to start with if you can get it through it, as Fraggle just did, and picked up Shadow.
All right, so that opens up the biggest one. That opens up is Floating Continent, which
check in the game.
What's that?
The Floating Continent, aka the worst check in the game. I mean, it's my least favorite. Some people like it. It is 3 checks in one, but there are so many fights. There are 4 bosses and 5 fixed encounters and a whole lot of running around and flipping switches, and it's a slug. So
yeah,
that was the last place I check. But it does provide a tactical advantage if you can get all the way through it early, because there are 2 opportunities for characters and one Esper along the way.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely not a check for the faint of heart, that's for sure. See Zero gonna head for the sealed gate and grab all the Imperial treasure on the way, and why wouldn't you at that point?
Oh yeah, this is the best room in the game, as far as the treasure's concerned.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the Empire just decided to leave it all in one place, and it's just fantastic for us to pillage.
Unfortunately, looks like he missed the fireplace check there.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, and it also looked like he didn't find too much good stuff in that room, so that's a little bit of a letdown, but there are still more opportunities for treasure along the way to the sealed gate.
Yeah.
A lot of hidden, a lot of hidden treasure checks in this game. You have to know, you have to be very familiar with it to know where they all are. I'm sure there's still a few that I don't know about.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you get better with experience and watching other runners and watching YouTube, all kinds of stuff. So.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But he did pick up the best item in the game. You might be thinking, oh, he found an Illumina? No, he found a Dragon Horn, which is, like, bar none, just the best item you can possibly get.
I was going to say, I take it you're a big fan of Jump, then.
Yeah, Dragoon strats are the best, and it looks like he's not wasting any time with those little single chests out of the way. He's just going straight for it. But yeah, those unfamiliar, once you find the jump command with either Dragoon Boots or in the randomizer, you can get a character with jump naturally. It turns you into a big pogo stick, and you can do up to 4 attacks in one turn, and it's so much fun. So I love the Dragon Horn. I mean, technically, Illumina is probably better to find, I grant you, but it's my favorite item of the game, we'll say.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's not a lot that's more fun than just watching your character, like you said, pogo stick on an enemy for a while. Alright, so Fraggle has gone into the Velt Cave in the World of Ruin and is... looks like I can't quite tell what's waiting for him after this boss fight.
I think that's a merchant NPC. So
Okay.
I've randomized the color palettes if anybody couldn't pick up on that already. So Zero Rush found an Ifrit Esper in the sealed gate there. And I think this was, like I was saying, a merchant NPC, but it's possible it could be like Setzer or something weird with weird colored hair. So we'll have to see if you can make it through this Chatternook fight, what it is.
Yeah. I was going to say, my vision ain't so good these days, so I was sitting there having to squint going, okay, what was that again?
Yeah, you and me both.
Drat getting old. Nerd.
So not messing around with the bolt 3s there, I think that was what it was, but we got some health to work with, but again, health I think literally casts Cure 2, and with it being on Edgar, who does not have great magic stats and isn't really primed for magic, it doesn't do a lot, but I think it can be enough to get him through this fight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's also along with the Ragnarok sword, so he can't get that damage while he's healing.
Yeah, true. Ooh, ouch.
One goes Shadow. But he came prepared. Although that fire 2 on the lady is not going to do him any favors. Luckily, she just counters with a standard attack. Pro tip out there, folks: don't hit the girl, only hit the demon.
Yeah. So be chivalrous, folks.
Exactly. So Zero Rush is just slaying an octopus. I didn't see where he found that. But it must have been one of. And he found another Dragon Horn. Well, that'll come in handy. So It was Ultros 2, I believe, at the Welk spot.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Unfortunately, a dead check as far as progression is concerned, but now he can find 2 sets of Dragoon Boots and have double the fun. Mr. Entity picks him up a Shadow as well. So it looks like both Kefka Battle and Going Down to Ancient Castle were equally good plays this seed. So we may get some good diversity of routes here. Should be exciting.
Yeah. I see Zero Rush is likely going to make the Fleet River check.
Looks like where he's headed. Definitely wouldn't be my first pick, but again, the experience along the way can be valuable. Fleet River's the one you have to be careful with, again, because if you save over your existing save while you're already on the raft, and then you run into a boss you can't seem to defeat, you can get yourself stuck, and then you lose all your progress until you figure out a way to kill that boss. So another pro tip, make sure you save in a different save slot when you come on the Elite River, especially early.
Yeah, I've made that mistake a time or two myself when I've been doing practice runs, so I've learned the hard way.
Yeah, you and me both. Let's see. This looks like Mildane's picked him up a shadow as well. Oh, but Zero Rush picked the straight path. We'll see how this works out for him. Typically a good idea to go left in the Elite River.
I've forgotten exactly what the optimal path is on that one, so I've had to experiment with that a few times too.
Yep. Second one is the second choice is a little more unforgiving, as if you choose straight, you'll just go in an infinite loop until you pick left.
Yeah.
But it looks like we see the health bug, the vanilla health bug on Zero Rush's screen, where health just keeps sending you further and further into the river.
Oh dear.
But he got out of it.
Well, good thing you could run away from everything.
It is a good thing.
I don't think I've ever seen that before, actually. How in the world? Well, it's a bug, so who knows, but...
Yeah. It's probably the only Final Fantasy VI bug out there, though. This game is pretty much perfect other than that one.
Yeah. No other bugs whatsoever.
We can forgive them one tiny bug.
Hmm.
So, Mr. Entity is going to check out the cave on the Veldt. So it looks like it was not a character. I didn't see what the reward was on Fraggle's screen. I assume he made it through that fight. But I'm pretty sure that was the merchant NPC, or maybe a soldier. I can't tell. There's another elemental shield for Mr. Entity up there.
And Fraggle just picked up a Genji glove from the check at Gal's dad's house.
So it's interesting. We're actually seeing quite a few dead checks early on here. So it may end up that progression ends up being the same way after all. With it still remains to be seen, but we might see Zero Rush have to go down to the ancient castle, and all the other people have to go up to Kefka at Narsh. But we've got a couple more opportunities for characters here.
Right.
So interestingly, on Zero Rush's screen, of course, he hits like a truck, but Gigantos is the most... You get the most experience per level from Gigantos than any other monster in the game. So it'll give you a ton of XP if you can kill him. But he does seemingly get to attack 3 times every turn and can hit quite hard. So I don't blame him for bailing out there.
Yeah, I didn't know that the Gigantos was kind of the most efficient enemy, so to speak.
Yep, number 1. I'm almost certain.
So Fraggle is deciding to do the floating continent check.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly it's a play that some people like. If you can get through the battle, you've got 3 fixed encounters up front in which you have to wait in between for a few seconds, and then we've got a boss fight on the airship, and then you've got an immediate boss fight on the way jumping off of the airship. However, you do get a full heal as part of the story, and then when you land on the continent, you have 1 more boss fight, and then 2 more fixed encounters, 3 if you go the wrong way, and then there's another boss fight to get to the end of this. So certainly not a quick check. There's a lot involved and a lot of opportunities for death. But that's probably not what Zero Rush wanted to see at the end of Elite River.
God, no.
Unfortunately, 2 of his characters were a multiple of level 5, so this is going to be a trick for him, especially when Doomgaze is casting Ice 3. We'll see if it's possible Edgar might have one of the flame shields or an ice shield, or the Ragnarok may just be doing enough work to let it miss. But it's going to be a rough one for him.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. The good news is, though, he is doing pretty well on at least the magic avoidance, but Doom waits for no man.
Right, and this is the problem with doing Elite River, especially early, is that if you run into that boss at the end of it that you can't see... I'm not saying Zero Rush can't take him out, because I think he can, but depending on your situation, this may be a reset, and either you have to lose all of your progress or keep trying it over and over. So it's a gamble, but I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
Provided these arrows keep missing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it looks like he's having pretty good luck with it so far.
Yeah, I think we've seen force armors, and we've got those elemental shields. He may have found the Aegis shield. That's spell finally went through there, but it still did nominal damage for a tier 3 spell. So, provided this Doom misses, but
Oh,
yeah, and there's the danger. So we'll see how he wants to tackle that. I think a good idea, depending on where he saved, is to take a fight, level up his characters. Hopefully advance them one level from a fixed encounter, and he can avoid that level 5 Doom altogether.
yeah.
But we'll see how he tackles it. Fraggle finds number 24 for his first boss of the airship, as Mr. Entity takes out a demon.
And so now we get to find out what that check was.
Let's see. Oh, a flame shield. Another dead check and another elemental shield. Wow. I think there's already a flame shield earlier in the cave from a chest. So, all right. So it looks like Zero Rush got the memo. He's going to try to take out Gigantos here and to advance his character levels, and that'll prevent that level 5 Doom from working. Just has to hope that Edgar doesn't advance to a level 5, but it'll be easier to revive one character than 2 for sure.
Right.
So
yeah,
this is a good play.
I was going to say his Edgar was at 24, so it's a pretty... It could very easily happen that Edgar hits a level 5, but like you said, it's easier for 1 than 2.
Yeah, and he could he could advance 2 levels if he has the experience egg on. Maybe I'm not sure if he found that, but see, he just gave 16,000 experience points. That's just a lot, especially this early in the game. So it could be that he advanced 2 levels, and everybody else is, he might be fine here. We'll see.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I see Fraggle has decided to engage. I'm presuming that's Ultros 1. Well, it might not be. He just moved up, but...
So Ultros 1 is the one that's submerged.
Okay.
So this would be Ultros 3.
Okay.
As Ultros 2 is the one where you're in a side attack around him. Ultros 3 is you're in this orientation, but Ultros is on the far left side of the screen, and Ultros 4 is that same orientation, but he's
on the right,
towards the right side of the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, because then Ultros 4 Chupon shows up and goes blarg.
Huh. So, looks like he Zero Rush queued up a Phoenix in preparation for losing somebody, but as kind of predicted or posited, he was fine with his character levels. So we do have, I believe multi-summon is on, so he can still make use of it, but was unneeded. And was that Sabin that Fraggle picked up in the floating continent there?
I was too busy staring at Doomgaze, to be honest.
I think I saw Sabin laying in the dirt there and picked him up, which is another great character to have early on, because he also opens up 5 checks. So I think we're going to see some pretty good route diversity here, at least between Zero Rush and the rest of the folks.
Yeah.
And Sabin apparently has natural jump. So unfortunately, the people doing Floating Continent don't have the 2 dragon horns that Zero Rush has found. So, but we may get there.
Yeah.
And Zero Rush won't be able to do the Floating Continent until he does Ancient Castle. So this is an unfortunate turn of events in terms of my entertainment, but they'll be fun.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm sure we'll find ways to entertain ourselves.
Mr. Entity moving on to do the same Floating Continent checks. And Zero Rush still working against Doomgaze here, using a lot of consumables. It's certainly the play to keep yourself alive and get through this fight. But we'll see if he's missing them too much at that the final Kefka fight when you really need them.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we've got some reflecting going on Zero Rush's side, which is certainly coming in handy against the Dooms. The reflecting ice 3 back, but that doesn't seem to be doing too much in terms of healing.
Reflecting back never does heal them too much, and it's certainly better than eating a fully powered ice 3 on a character that doesn't have any sort of protection. So it's a good play.
Right.
And then of course Edgar is typically fine against these spells, so looks like he's going to be okay. He just needs to do a little bit more damage, and he should be on the way. Fraggle almost choosing to return back to the airship there. That would have been disastrous, but
Oh dear. I do like, and I'm not sure if this is a randomizer thing or if it's in the original game. Oh, speaking of Ultros 1,
there it is.
the option to choose to go back to the airship at that point, is it defaulted to no in the original game, or is that a randomizer modification?
I am not 100% sure, but I don't believe we've changed any of the default options in messaging in the randomizer, so I would think it defaults to no. Because we haven't changed the one in the ancient castle, or rather in the Figaro castle, where it asks you if you want to stop on your way to Collingen or continue on your journey. Continue on is the default, and I've seen several people accidentally hit that button and keep going when they wanted to stop at the ancient castle. So I have to imagine if they didn't change that one, they probably didn't change this one either.
Right. Oh,
But
I think.
It's been a while since I've played vanilla, so I can't tell you with 100% certainty.
Right. Also, I think Zero Rush got an Esper out of the that last floating continent, or that last floating continent check, or not floating continent, Leet River. I'm sorry.
Oh, Leet River, right?
Yeah. Sorry, my brain was going a few different directions.
No problem. Apparently it was dead, and it gave a snow muffle. So,
I mean,
yeah, dead check. That's interesting. So basically, Terra has Zozo and Mobla's World of Ruin left for character opportunities. Might want to go check Mobla's just right now because, he's going to go down and do Ancient Castle. That's certainly, that'll net him a shadow, as we know, so it's a good play. But there are quicker ways to find another character. Or potentially find another character anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. Let's see. Mildane taking advantage of those multi-summons and doing some Alexanders to old Chatternook here with some pretty good damage too. Ooh, as Fraggle finds a Brachiosaur, which you can steal an economizer from, I think is what it is, but they also cast Meteo and they have a lot of HP, and it's kind of an enemy you don't really want to run into early in the game because their spell power's pretty high, as we can see there.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say he was trying to really get away from there, but was able to get away with most everybody. Unfortunately, one person ate the meteors right to the face. Sorry,
yeah,
Saban.
he'll be all right.
Yeah.
One more boss fight, and then he's out. Don't think anybody's found any healing magic so far, except for he does have the health ability available, but you can't use that out of combat. So, ooh, and it's a goddess at the end of it. Probably not what he wanted to see.
Oh, yuck, yeah.
But should be okay. See, it looks like Mr. Entity just picked himself up Sabin, and is going to throw that experience egg on somebody here, on somebody else anyway. Got plenty of force armors and red caps to go around, as we're seeing on Zero Rush's screen, plus the Ragnarok and elemental shields, and everybody's in pretty decent shape. I'm wondering if Fraggle should have around the same, as he's done most of the same checks. Looks like he just cast Fire 2 on himself for some reason.
I was going to say, I don't think Goddess has the frozen attack, does she?
Ooh. So Fraggle's just going to reset out, which is interesting because there's no save point except for at the beginning of unless he went into the save room. Oh, he did. Okay.
He did. Yeah.
No, I missed that. But so I thought he was going to have to start over at the beginning of Floating Continent, but he still has to go through that previous boss fight and then make it all the way through. So it's an interesting play. I guess he didn't want to wait for this sleepy peeps to wake up. Anyway, Mildane out of the cave, and we'll see where he's going. Probably going to take on Floating Continent next, as I think is his last play. Do a little saving.
I was going to say, since he doesn't have Terra, I don't think he's done Kefka at Narsh yet.
Nope. Oh yeah, so right. you're right. Kefka at Narsh is it's either Floating Continent or Kefka at Narsh. It looks like okay, he's gonna go for Kefka at Narsh. I would certainly do that before I did Floating Continent, so I like to play. But
Yeah.
there is a chance that you climb that mountain and there's nothing there. But it's a good idea to just save right outside the city, right outside Narsh, make the climb, and if it's something you don't want to see, just reset out. It's a waste of a climb up, but at least you don't have to climb all the way back down.
Right. It looks like he's going to go back and return to the airship.
Oh, he didn't want to deal with Goddess at all, so he's out. Well, that's okay. We know there are other characters available. Did he? No, so he picked up Sabin, so he has plenty of other checks to go do now.
Yeah.
And of course, he doesn't need a fourth or a fifth or any. He doesn't need any more characters. He has his requirements to get into Kefka's tower. However, to find the remaining 9 espers, it's likely he's going to need some more characters. I mean, it's not likely. He's going to need some more characters to open up more checks anyway. But the odds of Sabin having one of his 5 checks are pretty good. Oh, and that earlier Fire 2 cast on himself apparently he was charmed, maybe.
Ah. Yeah, that makes sense. I can't say I blame him for trying to nope out a goddess, though. Oh, boy, she's rough. No matter what, really.
Unless you have Thunder Shields, then she's relatively painless.
Yeah.
Quasar, doesn't help, but not too bad otherwise. But, there are faster... Sorry, said something pop up. There are faster ways to find characters, I think.
Yeah.
So, see what Sabin returns. And what do we have at the Imperial camp? Bismarck Esper. Not a character, but it has a Strength +2 Esper on it, so that's a good pickup as well.
Yeah.
And Mildane's at the Kefka at Narsh fight. Saw Terra there. I'm sure he's happy about that. And Mr. Entity's just about to finish up Floating Continent. We'll see what happens when he reaches the goddess. I think, Zero Rush missed that switch. You have to go back. It's on the step. One more step.
There you go. I was going to say, I saw him kind of rooting around for it a moment ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know exactly where it is, there's a lot of open space there to try to have to deal with, but... Ooh, Mr. Entity runs into some ninjas on his screen. Those are fairly tough enemies in terms of what you're hoping to run into, so... But he takes them out no problem. Ooh, and Zero Rush is trying the completely unrandomized dragon, which I'm curious if he knows they're unscaled, or maybe he's just going for it. And yes, as Roger Death points out, we do have a very vanilla boss at Kefka at Narsh, as it is Kefka at Narsh. And then we have a very vanilla blue dragon down in the ancient castle. So something happened with this randomizer. It only randomized some of it.
Good job.
Or something. I don't know. Anyway, we've got Demon Pasta floating in the falls for Fraggle, the Barren Falls.
Huh. I guess they were just looking for a little bit of water to prepare themselves for the meal.
Maybe they're, you can imagine them as octopus tentacles, and that kind of works, except it's probably freshwater octopus. I don't know if those exist. So Zero Rush is doing pretty good against this dragon. I'm curious if right now he's realizing they're unscaled and saying, ah crap, or if he knew what he was getting himself into and he's dealing with it well.
Well, maybe we'll need to ask him.
Yeah, try to remember that, because I will definitely forget.
Well, that's why I have me a notebook, so let's do scribbling.
Yeah, I don't take notes, nerd.
Well, hey, what can I say?
No, that's cool. I'm glad somebody is. Alright, so what do we have for Fraggle at the end of Barren Falls here? looks like it. Ooh, he found Celis.
It's a
Nice.
Celis.
That's a great pickup. So I bet he's happy with his decision of noping out of Floating Continent. But looks like Mr. Entity has got the firepower to take her out with relative ease here. I'm seeing some big damage numbers over there, so I think he'll be fine. And we'll get to see what's waiting at the end of Floating Continent. And this has to be close for Zero Rush on this dragon. I've seen several 3,000 swings and some flare procs, so I would imagine, yeah, that dragon's done.
Yeah, I was gonna say good timing there. I was about to inquire which was going to go down first, Goddess or the Dragon, but we got our answer.
Yeah. After playing 100 or so seeds, you kind of learn to intuit health values of these enemies. But for those who can't, or you just don't have enough practice yet, there are some handy trackers out there that some community members, or one community member, Drulith, has created that has a boss tracker in it as well, where you can see exactly what their, roundabouts, because there's some distortion, what their health pools are. So if you're new to the randomizer and you can't figure out some bosses, plug this Discord again. Come onto the Discord. Lots of helpful guides and programs and things to help you out. And if you enjoy what you're seeing, be sure to give our runners and our crew a follow. And down goes Goddess for Mr. Entity. So we'll see what she gives, or rather, what Floating Continent gives.
Yeah.
And we have, it's an Esper or an item. Bahamut. Nice. That's actually quite a good pickup for a seed where you have good magic power and multi-summon is turned on. Because Bahamut is an Esper that casts non-elemental defense-piercing magic. And if you can do it over and over, you can actually get some good damage out of it. It's relatively slow in terms of animations, but it's not the slowest thing, so I like that pickup.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. All right, let's see. I think Zero Rush has completed his run through the ancient castle, so time to go onto other environs. Let's see. Entity's just now cleaning out the beginner's house in Narsh.
Yeah, that's it's one that so it just depends on my mood whether I check this one or not, because it takes a while to go to each individual room for just one chest apiece, and there's a good chance it's going to be junk. So sometimes I'll leave it behind. Sometimes I guess it depends on what my current gear situation is. If I'm still looking for stuff, I'll definitely go check it, but I understand leaving it alone too. So Mildane picked up the Esper at Zen, and Zero Rush is finished with Ancient Castle, so we'll see where he goes. He picked up Shadow, so he still has some Terra checks available, and but now he's got Shadow checks as well. Looks like he's going to go check out Mobliz, where you can see what you're getting before you fight, which is super handy. What's not handy is you're going to lose 2 characters in the middle of the fight, so good to come here when you're prepared. You know what? He doesn't care. He's just going for it.
Yeah.
He's not. It's quite possible he doesn't know that there is a way to check. If you just talk to one of the girls in the little basement in the other building, she will tell you exactly what is waiting for you. But his gunslinging has paid off, and Setzer is waiting down there. I think Zero Rush has 5 characters now. Unless for whatever reason he didn't pick up Shadow down in the Ancient Castle, but I have to believe he did.
Yeah, he did.
So this will give him his 6th character, which should open up more than enough checks to find his Espers. So I'm hoping we'll see him start to kind of nope out of things that he knows are characters and concentrates purely on Espers. But then again, sometimes you want to take more than the required amount into Kefka's Tower, for some safety and Moogle charm holders and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, you're right. Franklin Shadow's in the party, and he's wearing a Moogle suit.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess
The great tracker Franklin.
I was gonna say, I guess Shadow decided to be the height of Moogle fashion this season.
You know what? Speaking of, it looks like we have a vanilla Funbaba at the Funbaba spot. So this is interesting. Lots of vanilla things happening because he's already been Baba Breath. Setzer's in the party now, and we're still fighting Funbaba. So that's what, three bosses so far?
Well, if I remember correctly, Funbaba was not moved around. I'm checking the. Yeah, well, Funbaba was not shuffled.
Well, so that's the first iteration of Funbaba, the one that does Baba Breath and blows you away. So that he's not shuffled. So that will be in Mobilas every time. However, this is the second half of the fight. He's already been blown away once, and this is supposed to be, any random boss. It's just pure luck.
Okay.
Funbaba again.
Huh.
And to answer, hopefully that answers your question, Roger Death. Funbaba 3 was not randomized. He did get Baba Breath right before this fight. And Mr. Entity picks up that Zen Esper, though he went for the World of Ruin variety, which cost him, an extra 18 or so grand, but still not a horrible price.
Yeah.
What did Fraggle just find in that treasure spot? It looked maybe like Economizer, but I only caught it out of the corner of my eye.
No, I don't think it was anything that good.
No, okay.
Too bad, though.
Right. So Mr. Entity's checking out the collapsing house. Let's see. Ah, yes. Now Zero has 5 characters. Thanks, Grimwolf. But don't worry, Franklin's all over it. He's a pro. So, oh, right, because I was thinking, who's the 5th character, but, well, wait. What character does Fraggle have that Mr. Entity does not? That's the question. So, and Mildane has gone and got Terra. I don't think he's done Floating Continent yet. There's a tracking sheet that's usually made available, and I am not checking it, so that's on me. Anywho. Let's see. So Zero Rush headed back to World of Ruin Narsh. We'll have to see if he's going to go do Tritalk and a dragon, or if maybe he's just picking up the health bucket. And Mildane over there checking out Zozo. So that's the first we'll see of this check. I'm curious to see what this one is. And speaking of our community members with trackers and whatnot, there's Drulith, creator of the Illumina tracker with the aforementioned boss tracker tool thingy. Hello, Drew. You guys sleepy out there? Not a whole lot of buzz going on in the chat tonight. Let's start a poll or something. Yeah, Grimwolf, that's what he calls it, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, absolutely. That's the official name for it.
Let's see. Oh yeah, right. Fraggle got Celis. That's the missing character from Barren Falls. But I think Mr. Entity will have her soon, as Barren Falls is just south of the Imperial camp. Imagine he'll check that one next. And Fraggle is in the Magitech factory. Again? Wait a minute.
He just went back to save.
Oh, okay. I was like, I feel like we've seen this once before. I see. He's going down to just in case. So once you do this cutscene, there's no warping out. So if it's something he doesn't like, then there's still a save point down in the basement before you get on the minecart. However, you can't just go back up. So that's a pretty good idea. In case it's a boss he can't kill or just something he doesn't like, then you can just reset out of it and hit that earlier save.
Well, hey, we finally have a cure spell, and it looks like in Phoenix.
All right. Got some, despite having random tiered spells on these Espers, they're actually turning out to be pretty good. But I guess it's really the Esper bonuses that are treating them really well tonight.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Zero Rush taking advantage of his Setzer pickup and is going to check out Daryl's tomb, but I think he needs to go hit a switch up in the top right there. I don't know if you can do this one out of order. Oh, apparently you can. All right.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I kind of learned one way to do it, and that's the way I've always done it, and it's the way I've always seen people do it. So I just kind of assumed that was the order you had to do it, but apparently not.
Yeah. Well, sorpresa.
Yeah, that. So our boss at the end of Zozo here is Doom. Probably not what he was hoping to run into either, but in my opinion, probably the most easily managed of the three statue bosses. Especially if you have non-elemental magic and anything defense piercing, then it becomes fairly trivial. You just have to have some decent defense, and he's okay. Zero Rush he's found Cyan sleeping in Daryl's tomb, and it's only a Welk fight to get through it, so this will be a good pickup.
Oh yeah, I mean that can open up obviously a few checks on its own. Most notably, both iterations of Doma Castle.
Yep, Cyan's another one that opens up 5 and a dragon. So not that dragons are required for this seed, but if you wanted to, along the way, it's some more XP for his party, and takes out Welk with no problem. And Mr. Entity is just about to find himself a Celis as well. And Fraggle should have a little problem with the leader waiting for him at the end of this minecart. One more boss before he gets to see what's at the end of it, though. All right, and Mildane takes down Doom. Let's see what he gets for Zozo. Also, pro tip: there's a story heal at this section of the game where Fraggle is right now. So I learned this the hard way. No need to waste all your items and MP and stuff healing up before this fight, because you'll be healed for it. Picked up the Crusader Esper, I think.
Mildane? No, that was Palador.
Fraggle.
Oh, Fraggle? Okay. Yeah, I didn't see it on Fraggle's end, sorry.
I'm pretty sure it was the Crusader Esper. So Zero Rush picked up Palador, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Now he's going in to do Cyan's Dream.
Or no, Mildane picked up Palador and Zozo.
Sorry, Mildane. Yes. Zero Rush doing Cyan's Dream. Pro tip number, 3 or 4. In the randomizer, you only need to find one kid when you're running around. This quickest path is the right door from the start. In the vanilla game, you do have to find both of them before you can head on, but for whatever reason, in the randomizer, just pick one and go. Purely for speed.
I did not know that. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't know it for quite a while either until people started making fun of me on my own stream. So.
Oh, whoops.
It sticks with you. And Fraggle made quick work of the Stooges, and Mildane is seemingly right there with him, although I think he's doing Floating Continent rather than the Magitech Factory, of course. Tier 3 spells. We've got Magic Power, another Tier 3 spell. These Espers are actually pretty great tonight, and this seed is being very generous. So hopefully it gives our runners little trouble when we do get to Kefka's Tower. But so far, they're all doing pretty great.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm a little envious. I kind of wish I was running this myself. Although, I mean, it's still fun doing commentary, obviously, and I would be a lot slower, so... Stay levy.
Well, just pick it up and start now. And you can go while you commentate, and just commentate on what you're doing, and we'll compare it to the runners.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, here I'm running into this, and oh god, I'm having so much more trouble than they did.
Taking a peek at the Opera House now on Fraggle's screen there. Mr. Entity is back in. He's back in South Figaro, going to go do Celis's free check, which I'm not sure if Fraggle has done yet. It's possible I missed it.
I don't remember seeing it, so I don't believe he has yet.
Right. So we'll see what we get out of this Figaro basement check here, and Zero Rush managing the toggles on the train. And in the chat, just joined one of our 2 Kefka Grand Prix finalists. Hello, Jack. Calling out our sweet, sweet color palettes here in this randomized seed. Speaking of the Kefka Grand Prix, our final round between our top 2 runners, Lock, Cole Live, and Jackamus Wedge, is happening, I believe, here on Randomania 1 tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern. I'm pretty sure. So please come check that out. That is the grand finals. Thus, we'll crown our champion in the Kefka Grand Prix. I mean, the best race was already won a few days ago, and the best player was already unceremoniously dumped. So there's not really much point to keep watching. But if you want to see who the fake winner is, tune in tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern.
I was gonna say, so Boo, you're challenging the legitimacy of the election.
No, I'm just whining about it. Yeah, apparently that's a good. Grimwolf brings up a good point. I was hexed from our first round of the finals because I did not suplex a train, and thus a curse was put upon my head to lose the next round. And sure enough, so it's really my own.
We invested all the bad juju on you.
But apparently it was a great race. We're all really close, tied at the end. We had a lot of drama happening in Kefka's Tower, or really the Kefka fight at the end. So check that one out on Twitch. Hopefully it'll be up on YouTube soon. But the Kefka Grand Prix has been a really fun event that's coming to a close now, but we'll have some more tournaments and events up pretty soon. So if you want to join in on the fun, come check out the randomizer. Link to the Discord in the chat. Lots of great, helpful people there, resources to get you started. We can do some asynchronous races, all sorts of good stuff. So if you think it looks like fun, please come on and join us. And I did notice Mr. Entity picked up, I believe it was Strago in the Figaro basement check there. So probably not the character he wanted to see, either for his party or for his horrific checks, but if he does get into a bind, that gives him some options. And so it also looks like we found our 5th or 6th dead check at the end of Cyan's Dream there on the throne. Picked up yet another elemental shield, which is probably the 12th one or so far. At least they have many breakable options here.
Yeah. Well, the good news is he did get the Stray Esper from the boss fight proper, so the dead check was just that last item.
Right. All right, Mr. Entity, go and check out the Opera House now. And where's Fraggle headed? Let's see. What was the? Did we see the reward for the Opera House? No, it was too busy.
Opera House reward was Fenrir.
Ah, so that's a good pickup. Always great to find Fenrir on your way to Kefka's Tower, as he provides some protection from calmness in round 3, which, for the uninitiated, is a devastating instant death attack on your party, which you can dodge, but once you're dead, that character's just gone. Ooh, and Zero Rush runs into Magimaster at the. Is this the Doma check?
Yes. He is? Yeah, this is Doma Balance.
Gotcha. So I know he might have removed them. He did have some wall rings earlier, which can make this really a free fight, although albeit a long one. But it looks like he's got Flare and Meteor to work with, so he should be able to make it through this one okay. But yeah, Jackamus does bring up a good point, kind of what we talked about earlier. He's met his requirements, and these checks where you know it's going to be a character, it's best to just, especially if you run into a Magimat, if it was something quick like a tunnel armor or something, maybe. But yeah, with these longer fights, when you know you don't need any characters, maybe it might be best to just reset out and keep going. However, this will get him a Mega Elixir, this will get him some more XP, and some more options for character checks. So maybe not the worst play, but not the fastest one. And Mr. Entity picked him up the Fenrir Esper as Mildane makes his way through the floating continent. And down goes Magimaster for Zero Rush, so not too many problems there. Picked himself up a Cure Spell, which is nice, and that Mega Elixir will come in super handy for the Kefka fight. Ah, wait, oh, this isn't a character. Okay. That's just Terra, who he already has, so I thought Jack was indicating we knew this was a character. However, when it's not, what did he get for that? What was the reward for this fight?
I mean, it didn't show any reward, so it may have been a character, and he just didn't really spend any time on the selection screen.
Oh, maybe that's what happened. Okay, yeah, you might be right. I thought it was Terra on there. Yeah, especially Gogo. Leave him behind. Useless. I like Gogo at the start of a seed. If you start with him and you have some breakables, then he can be really great. If you can just keep mimicking breaking rods and super balls and stuff over and over again. But since you can't equip Espers on Gogo, the stats they don't scale very well, and it does give you a lot of options with commands that they never do that great of damage or that much healing, and it's not one of my favorite characters. Ooh, Fraggle. I think this is a nod to Zelfer, perhaps. Going to the Burning House, Casa del Fuego. Definitely one of the least favorite checks among the runners in the community for how long it is, how many fights there are, but it does grant you a lot of XP, and some people like it purely for the memes. So we'll have to see how Fraggle does here. Oh, sure, Jack. Yeah, if you have them available, there are better things to mimic. I was talking purely about trying to open up a seed at the start of a game when your options are much more limited. Don't get me wrong, he does have utility. I just think there are better uses of that party slot. So let's see. Zero Rush ran into Doom. Must be at Zozo. And Mr. Entity's taken on. Oh, found another experience egg, which is nice, in Magitech Factory. So that should be his second experience egg, I think. It depends on if he went to, or if he got that. If he got that particular box in, I think it was South Figaro. But that should make 2 for our runners. And there is a reminder, yeah, he does have 2. As a reminder to the viewers, this is a party average level scaling seed. So having 2 is a lot, well, I mean, it's always a lot handier to have than 1, except for, of course, if you're doing party highest level scaling, which, you don't want to juice one character up too high. And same here in party average level, but the consequences are much less, so. And yeah, to answer your question, Jophus, no, the eggs do not stack. One per character is all you can get out of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unfortunately, they don't stack. Otherwise, oh boy, yeah.
Mildane having his own goddess fight there. For a second, I thought, where did his 4th character go? But that's because he was flying through the sky like a majestic eagle, landing on goddess with a furious anger. Zero Rush making use of that meteor spell on a few bosses here. It's a weaker spell. The spell power itself is not great. The animation is fairly long. However, we did start this seed with several magic power +2 espers, so it looks like he's gotten his power up high enough where it's putting out some pretty decent damage. But I think he has tier 3 spells. Then again, Doom does put Reflect up, so maybe that's why he decided to go with Meteor. Because Meteor can't be reflected.
Thank goodness.
And it's possible those tier 3 spells we saw on the other screens maybe came from Floating Continent, which Zero Rush hasn't done. So maybe that's the best he's got right now. And we find another that makes all 3 statue bosses, not necessarily for one person here. I don't remember if Fraggle has fought Doom, and I don't think he's done Zozo yet, but we've seen Goddess at the Floating Continent, Doom at Zozo, and now the spiciest of chickens in the Burning House, which is only fitting considering he's made of fire.
Yeah. Spicy house for a spicy chicken.
Looks like Zero Rush is going to go check out Mount Zozo. We'll see if he elects to fight that dragon on the way. If I saw correctly, he's already in the high 40s, so I don't think there's too much reason to fight that dragon unless he thinks he could take it down super quick and maybe... Oops, forgot to buy that Rust Red. No problem. He realized it pretty quick. I would probably skip the dragon here because I think his levels are good enough. However, if he wants to try for a good piece of gear, that might be one reason to do it. But I think the seed has been fairly generous with defensive options, so I'll have to see what he goes for. Is Fraggle jumping with an Illumina? I don't think he has an Illumina. He does have a Ragnarok. That's probably what he's jumping with.
I think he's got Ragnarok on another character.
I'm not sure what. I mean, unless he found one that I never saw. I never saw anybody mention Illumina, which you'd think somebody would. But he did just pick up an Aura Lance, which Edgar is guaranteed to be able to equip. So that's what I'd be doing. It was an Excalibur. Looks like he's using it on Sabin, not Edgar. My mistake.
Okay.
But Sabin can't naturally equip that lance, I don't believe. However, in the randomizer, we have the option to turn on either everybody can equip everything, or in this particular seed's case, original equip plus some random equipping. So it looks like he just randomly was able to. And he finds another character here with Locke.
Well, hey, we did find the lock that we were talking about earlier in the seed.
We've got 3 ribbons to make some use out of here, possibly, with a relatively low Cursed Shield check. But at the end of a seed is typically not when you want to find Locke, unless, of course, you're just looking for like that one more Esper, which just immediately go hit up the weapon shop. And Zero Rush is actually really close to that, so this is not a bad pickup for him. Would have been faster to find one Esper, I'm sure, but hopefully he'll go straight to Narsh and do those 2 quick checks, which it looks like that's exactly what he's doing. Get himself a heal on the way. Ooh, and Mildane finds Atma somewhere. Putting out the damage with that dragon horn. Not sure what weapon he has equipped, but he's doing some flips with a short blade, so it must be a dagger or sword of some sort, or rather, I think it's just a dagger, because swords have that straight down poking style attack too. Sorry, Mildane, can't take out Atma with one swing of a chainsaw, but no need. Alright, so what happened on Zero Rush's screen? He just, he went out and then going back in.
He picked up Phantom.
I forgot the heal, that's what it was. So it looks like he's not, I don't imagine he bothered with the Cursed Shield check.
No, he didn't go up there.
I think it's worth checking out, because if it happens to be, like a sub-5 fight, even though it won't teach Ultima, the Paladin Shield is a great defensive option to have. So we'll have to ask him about that. It could be that he maybe just so Zero Rush is one of the newer runners to our randomizer here, so it's certainly possible he forgot about it, or maybe he just doesn't think he needs it.
All right, I'll add that to the question list. There we go. Okay.
All right. So yeah, looks like is he at Jador trying to get his last Esper through the auction house?
It certainly seems that way.
And as Jack mentioned in the chat there are some quick checks I think he can still do, or at least one, to just go do a quick boss fight, and it could end up being a lot faster than the auction house, depending on his luck. If this first one is an Esper, then great. But depending on your luck, you can get repeating imp statues and items and all sorts of stuff. So this sometimes, even if you can buy everything, it can still turn into a long affair. And as I learned recently on Discord, I think it was our creator, Atmatech, who recently informed us that if you buy all the items in the auction house in an effort to reduce or rather increase your chances of getting an Esper, you're actually also increasing your chances of hitting the Imp Robot. If you buy that 50,000 GP slot meant for the vanilla hero ring, apparently that increases your chance of hitting the Imp. So something I don't think many people around here knew up until very recently, but it does affect the strategy for sure.
Huh, interesting.
And speak of the devil, we have that 50 GP item here. So you can buy all the items. If you have 90,000 GP in World of Ruin, you can eliminate those from the list and increase your, like, the only two things left to get are Espers, because we've taken out the model airship or whatever it is. However, the Imp Robot still exists. So he's got, I don't know what the percentage chances are, but luckily he finds the Esper and not a robot. Which is good, because the robot auction takes forever, and if you haven't saved, it's hard to reset out of it, because then all the progress you've made in the auction house is gone. So you don't want to run into that. And anytime that you make progress in the auction house, you just run outside and save real quick. Let's see. So I think that's going to do it for Zero Rush in terms of his requirements. Let's see if he does any, or is it, are we looking for 12 Espers, right?
Yeah, 12.
Yeah. So we'll have to see if he does any shopping first, or any more looting of any sort. But other than that, he should be ready to go. He's got plenty of characters. He's got the levels, so hopefully we'll see some movement soon. And Mr. Entity is right on his heels, as well as Fraggle, both with 11. And Milday not too far behind with 10. So we could be seeing some fireworks at the end here. I don't know what's at the end of the place where Mr. Entity is that I can't think of the name of right now.
Mount Colts.
Mount Colts. Yeah, I don't remember what the reward is here, but actually, I just missed it on Fraggle's screen.
It was an Esper. I couldn't tell which one. Maybe Mudwing?
Got it. So anyway, that'll give both of our runners their final Esper. So yeah, I think this is going to be pretty close. It's going to come down to tactics and luck, I guess, at the end here.
Hey, that's what good races are made of, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, very true. Yeah, depending on where they slot their characters, you might end up having a really good party suited for a particular boss, but not so much for another one. And in Kefka's Tower, you really don't know what you're getting. So that could be the decider here. Or it could end up being that they're all super easy, and then we'll just have the Kefka fight to contend with. We'll find out very soon. It's like Fraggle he's either headed to the tower, or yep, he's there. Oh, I'm gonna do a save real quick, I assume. Maybe a tent. No, he's good. So I think Mr. E has been making use of the Espers that he has by getting the good spells, so to speak, on a lot of people, or at least the important spellcasters. While Zero Rush took a totally different path than than the other 3 runners, and I believe didn't find the tier 3 magic. It's interesting because they obviously, they took right around the same time to get done, because the character selection was actually pretty generous early in the seed. Pretty much all the 5 check characters were in the first, 40 minutes or so. So, getting there about the same time, but yeah, we'll have to see how these last fights go because the firepower difference may be the deciding factor as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, like you said, everybody got there around the same time, and because of all the different character checks, yeah, we get to see lots of different strategies. It'll be fun to see how it works out.
But yeah, to kind of address what Jack is asking in chat, I haven't seen a whole lot of body pieces in this seed. I've seen a force armor or 2. Other than that, I haven't seen any Minervas, or I think we found maybe 1 snow muffler as
Yeah.
a dead check. Other than that,
Yeah,
I haven't seen much of anything in terms of armor.
yeah. Chat was saying that the elite dead check was the snow muffler.
So that Tsarina gown could be useful if if you have nothing else. It's probably a borderline tier 2 piece of equipment, so that might help in the end here. But yeah, the seed, pretty much every dead check and every, well, not every, but a lot of the just random treasure chests they were doling out elemental shields like candy this seed. We've seen at least 6 of them. So there are plenty of defensive options, but it won't be the best defensive gear set we've seen. All right, so Mr. Entity is about ready. He's going for it too. Mildane's still not too far behind, so just needs 2 espers. And I think he's in the collapsing house.
Yeah.
Which
about to be.
Did that return an esper?
I actually don't remember what it returned. Let me just check on the list here. Yeah. Use this handy list that we have. It had an ice shield.
Yep. Yeah, so let's see. So, yeah, Mr. Entity... So, Tara was at Kefka at Narsh, which Zero Rush and Mildane both did. Shadow was in the Ancient Castle, so Mr. Entity, Mildane, and Fraggle all went to the Floating Continent and found Sabin, but Zero Rush didn't, but he found Setzer and Cyan. So we do have some pretty good character diversity here. Should be interesting. Will this be a photo finish? It's certainly possible. They are all relatively close. Mildane shouldn't be too far behind. But yeah, we're starting to converge here. Also be interesting to see how they handle things like the experience eggs and espers in Kefka's Tower. Some people like to keep shuffling them around for balance of power to make sure everybody lives through that Kefka fight, and some people just keep them on the same characters the whole time, pray they make it all the way to the Kefka's fight, and then you can rely solely on those 1 or 2 characters to get you all the way through, which is certainly the speedier strat if you can make it.
So, see, Mildane's doing a little naming here.
That's interesting. I don't know what that means. It might be a meme of some sort. Oh, is he doing the?
Yep, looks like it.
He's doing the Daryl's tomb puzzle. That's interesting. I like it. The world is square. All right, and so Mr. Entity, you'll see what I was just talking about is with that Esper and Relic management. You can sometimes overmanage it and go a little too crazy menuing after every boss, and it's slow, but the trade-off is you're better suited for that Kefka fight. So see which strategy pays off more. That said, Mr. Entity is already, I think, a little more loaded on offense, and I don't think it's as necessary. But different runners have different strategies. In terms of pure speed, though, I think he's already primed to just go for it. Zero Rush making good time through. He's already at the second switch, so he'll be up to the Guardian fight momentarily. Oh, how about that? Fraggle's right there with him, neck and neck. But we'll have to see. Sometimes some runners do their parties out of order. Like some people just switch right to the third party and take off with that one and leave the other. So it's hard for me sometimes to keep track of who's actually ahead. I like to just go, 1, then 2, then 3, and then back to 1. But people got their routes.
Yeah. I'd say Zero's probably about a minute or so ahead of Fraggle at the moment. It's not all that much, but...
Yeah, it looks like you just got to go dip those 2 switches, and then... Yeah, as like Grimwolf said, sometimes it makes more sense with, there's just less switching involved because you can hit the switches before you move the parties. It's just, for whatever reason, that's the route that's ingrained in my brain, and I just do the one that's on the screen, and, the character switching doesn't exactly take a lot of time, but it technically is more inefficient, so I get it. Dataluma is our Guardian fight, not exactly a powerhouse they're going to be scared of here.
Yeah, he's so powerful he went down in about 2 turns.
Yeah. Zero Rush making good progress through with Fraggle right behind him. Looks like Mr. Entity is going to hit up a dragon on the way. Try to find another useful item, I would imagine. It's going to be bad news if he gets northern crossed here and frozen, but luckily he's got a jumper, so you can avoid that. Yeah, he avoided it.
Hey, Mildane got an Esper out of the Tritalk fight. Picked up Odin.
Cool, so he should only be 1 away now. And also, as a reminder for people in chat, this is a split XP seed, so not only will they get more XP from doing fights just from their parties of 2 here in the splits, but they can manage their XP better by killing off the characters that they don't need and getting their primary characters a lot more XP. However, you could use the strategy of making sure you have higher level characters for that Kefka fight in case something disastrous happens and you need more characters. But I think the better play here is to kill off the ones you don't need and absorb all that XP for your primary characters. All right, Fraggle catching up here is right behind Zero Rush. Looks like the optimal play was to go the floating continent route and grab those tier 3 spell Espers here. As you can tell, the firepower is just that much more. Of course, Zero Rush wouldn't know that, and the route he chose was perfectly fine. But in hindsight, I think Fraggle will be able to overtake him here just with sheer damage output. But it's always possible that something disastrous happens in that Kefka fight. You never know. It could be that Zero Rush has better magic defense, or I think everybody found Fenrir. I don't remember where we found Fenrir, but I'm pretty sure Fraggle has it. I have to see if
Fenrir was the opera.
So Zero Rush, I don't think he won't have Fenrir. So we'll have to see how he deals with calmness. Milbane doing here? Oh, okay, that was the end of a fight. Looks like he took down that. Maybe that was the dragon. Yep, picked up another R-Lance. And everybody's favorite fish fight going on here, or otherwise known as the potty break. It looks like it's not a terribly long one. Certainly not the quickest one here, but Zero Rush is already through to Rizzipas here, so Fraggle will be along shortly, and Mr. E's making good progress through as well, just about to take on his own Vargas fight, I believe, or no, Dataluma fight, and then Vargas.
Yeah, so we're looking at, I mean, I think those three are maybe, I'd say maybe 5 minutes apart at the most.
Yeah, probably not even that much. And Mildane is hitting up the auction house for his last Esper. I don't know what options he has left because I don't think he picked up Lock. As far as I can remember, no, that was a Cyan check, so I don't think he does. So I'm not sure what checks he has left, or maybe no fast ones left, but he should be able to find his last Esper here. Mr. Entity making quick work of Dataluma, as Fraggle should be killing off Rizzipas here in short order. And at the Goddess check, we have Guardian. So, not too much trouble in old Kefka's tower here. Guardian being probably the most dangerous, and he's not all that dangerous. But you can see in the in Zero Rush's spell list here, not a lot of great options. So he's certainly not hurting for offense. It's just not as big as some of the other character runners have picked up. I think he's in good shape.
Yeah, I think the way that the runners have played this so far, I think all of them should be fine to kind of move up through Kefka. Like you were mentioning, though, Mr. Entity and Fraggle having the more high-powered, the tier 3 spells and the bigger options as far as that goes, they probably will make up time, and I don't know exactly how things will result, like you were mentioning, but yeah, I think they all should be in good shape, generally speaking.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be helpful to have some bolt 3s for Guardian here, but he's making do with Locke's Grand Train. I laugh because I believe in the last rush that I commentated was Zero Rush, he forgot to check the lore list, and then saw that he had a free Grand Train to use, and so I guarantee you he's checking every time now.
Hey, I understand. I mean, it's definitely those sorts of mistakes that you make when you're running a randomizer. If it's one of the more kind of quote unquote obvious ones, then yeah, you tend to never forget it.
Right. Yeah, that's the main way I learn is by screwing something up and then having somebody tell me the right way to do it. And he is making good use of that killing off his lesser characters to gain more XP. At first I was thinking, did he get charmed? What's that? Why? Or muddled? Why is he attacking his own characters? And I think it's because you rarely see Cyan get left behind. He's one of the more powerful runners in the randomizer here. But he made it through, and he should be on to the fight. He's just got to heal up, and we're good to go to see if he makes any final Esper or Relic decisions here. Whoa! Insult. Cheering on for Kefka. No love for the runners.
Yeah, wow. I was gonna say he wants some chaos tonight.
Hashtag Kefka was right, or something like that. Justice for Kefka. I don't know.
Hashtag it was Kefka all along.
So, yep, looks like Franklin just pointed out Mildane decided heck with the auction house. This is the better play, honestly. The Magitech Factory has a quick 50-50 chance of an Esper or item. There's no character available here in this first check, and it's pretty quick to get to, so just grab this one Esper on the first fight and warp out, and he's good to go. Fraggle running into a little bit of trouble with his Guardian fight. Hopefully he doesn't, no muddle for him this time, but he's working with just a solo drill, so this could take a while as Zero Rush is making the final push, headed up to Kefka. So in the lead so far, Mr. Entity making good progress. Fraggle certainly not far behind either. Just has to manage his health here. But it's certainly possible we'll see a come from behind victory, or maybe Zero Rush is better suited than we think. I believe I saw a Bolt 3 Esperon, so it's possible that he had it on in another party. But for this final Kefka fight, it's helpful to have, like, Fire 3 is a great one to have, Ice 3, and Bolt 3 doesn't do you as much good for the final fight. Unless, of course, you don't have any instant death and want to use it on tools. But Doug the Head here, vulnerable to fire. He does have... Oh, so if he used that chainsaw on long arm, you could take him out in one turn there. I'm curious if he has any other... Oh, he's using break. All right, good call. Looks like it worked as well. So doing well so far, as Mr. Entity has just about caught up doing his Guardian fight, as Fraggle looks like he made it through, doing some last-minute relic shuffling before the fight, and off he goes. All right. Player number 2 has entered the fight. And as a reminder to the viewers at home, multi-summon is on, but I don't know if Zero Rush... We know he doesn't have Finrir. I don't remember if he has Golem or Phantom, so he's going to have to come up with some alternative form of Calmness Protection, or just eat it and move on. Looks like he's still relying on that chainsaw, though, which, as we can tell here, is unreliable in terms of damage, as it doesn't care if the target is vulnerable to instant death or not. It's going to try anyway, seemingly at random. So if he has some breakables, that's probably the best time to use them. But chainsaw will do if that's all you got. All right, so tier 1 down for Zero Rush. Moving on, as Fraggle's just starting his. See if the runners remember that multi-summon is on, and there it is. Give yourself a Finrir here in this first tier. Every attack is a physical attack, so it's a good strategy. It's hard to get hurt with something like a Phantom or a Finrir in this tier.
Just out of curiosity, how many excuse me, how many attacks does Fenrir, because it creates the multiple images, how many does it protect against?
I believe it's random. I believe there's a chance to remove the shadow on every hit, and there's a chance to retain it. So it's not a set number.
Okay.
It can be 1, it could be 4. Could keep it forever, technically, I think.
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
All right, so Zero Rush does have the Siren Esper. Make good use of that to mute Magic on the left there, take him out of the fight. Also utilizing Stop. So some good strategy going on Zero Rush's part here. We'll just see if the strategy is enough to overcome the damage disparity as Fraggle moves on to tier 2. But looks like Zero Rush has already taken out Hit, the blue guy on the right, doing his 10 hits death counter. So he's making great progress. And it looks like Mildane has he's in go mode. He just finished up a dragon, so I think he's headed into Kefka's tower as well.
I do like how Zero Rush has been using, like you mentioned, using Siren to silence Magic and stop the other elements of the second tier. That's one thing that I'm still trying to get used to myself. I did know that you can doom the long hand on phase 1, so I have been doing that. But some of the other status effects, I admit, I'm still kind of learning a little bit myself to try to deal with these phases a smidge easier.
Yeah, so there's a helpful chart that I believe Jackamus made, that you can find in the guides report repository section of our Discord, which he has a handy little infograph thing here. It kind of tells you not all, but a lot of the different strategies for taking down each particular target in this fight. Which, if you're curious at home, you can check out on our Discord. We'll link to it in the chat. And runners are putting on a good show for you here, so I'm sure they would appreciate a follow. And but to address some of your questions here, you can also doom or instant death tools the target in the middle of tier 2. You can stop hit on the right. You can silence magic on the left. I don't know if Tiger is vulnerable to any status effects. He's the one I always take out first because he can do zombie and Northern Cross and all sorts of horrible stuff. So maybe somebody in the chat probably knows if there's anything you can do to Tiger. So we're all three of us on all three of our Kefka's fight runners anyway on tier 2. And here's where Zero Rush finishing that up, taking off, and we'll see how the damage plays out here. But we got a nice close race. So you can poison Tiger, which nobody cares. Poison's just weak. So yeah, it is vulnerable to ice. So if you got ice 3, ice shields, that's the place to use them. Speaking of which, I haven't seen any breakables come out yet. They might be saving them for either tier 3 or Kefka, but there should be plenty of look, Zero Rush does have Golem, so that'll come in nice and handy. Don't remember when he picked that up, but maybe Franklin said it already in the chat and I've just not been paying attention. However, they should have plenty of elemental shields to break on this fight. So it's going to come down to the wire here as Fraggle moves on and Mr. Entity's not far behind. Now we've just got to worry about taking away Girl first, who you cannot use elemental magic on. She absorbs it all. Luckily, they have access to Flare and Meteor and Meteor and Ragnarok's. So I think she's already dead, and now we're on to trying to chainsaw Sleep. Fraggle gets a W wind. One of our favorite pastimes in this race is to try to decipher what the first W means. So everybody in chat, throw out your best guesses for W wind. What does the W mean?
I was gonna say, at least I always thought of it as west wind because it comes from the left end of the screen, so conceivably west.
Yep, and see, I've always interpreted it as whirlwind because it looks like a tornado.
Yeah.
But that's just good example of who really knows and why it's fun where people can come up with all sorts of crap.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't know that there's really a wrong answer per se, so it's certainly not a hill I'm willing to die on, I'll say that.
Yep. Ooh, looks like we're gonna lose Terra here. Hopefully he's got a good backup before he kills Sleep. However, if he's done enough damage, yep, here comes the Meteor spam. So it's gonna be hard to get Terra back up. I think he's just gonna go for it with Utter. So, Fraggle on to tier 3, and Mr. Entity right behind him. Ooh, and out comes a train on Zero Rush's screen. That's gonna be bad news. Oh, he did get Terra up. Nice. He's got plenty of remedies, but he doesn't have any attacks that can... he's not working with Illuminas. So he's gonna need to cure the blindness, and he's got a lot of casters, so he's gonna need to get rid of that mute status. But if I were him, I would just go for it and kill him now before he starts casting any more meteors, and that's what he does. And we hopefully, yep, he blocked both calmnesses, which is great. So he's on to Kefka. Ooh, Fraggle made good time there, and now I think Fraggle actually has the slightest lead on Zero Rush.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sitting there looking at their screens. I think it's probably about a 5 second difference.
Yeah, we'll have to see, since we are running with, we're working with a little bit of delays on all these different streams, where it's going to come down to our Discord bot, I think, to determine who really wins.
Yeah,
Maybe. Well, it depends on how this fight goes, obviously, but can't trust what you see on the restream here necessarily.
still
That is,
though,
if
it's awfully
if
exciting.
creators want to get picky.
Yeah,
All right, so Fraggle going for straight damage. Zero Rush getting a little defensive, going for curing up. Out comes Fallen One. Oh, looks like Fraggle never did find a Dragon Horn, so he's doing single jumps. But Zero Rush is working with the slow and relatively weak Grand Train, so this is going to be a close one.
yeah. I was gonna say. Meanwhile, here comes Mr. Entity charging into the Kefka fight. So,
Ooh, here comes a hyperdrive for Fraggle. Can't dodge that one. And down goes Realm. Looks like, did Zero Rush killed Magimaster though, right? So I think he has, unless he used it already, he should have a Mega Elixir available.
yeah, I'm not certain. I didn't really get a good chance to look at his items.
Oof, down goes Shadow. I mean, I remember he did fight Magimaster, so he definitely had one at least. It's possible. And we do have our finisher. Let's see when we see it on screen here. Who will it be? And Fraggle takes first place in a nail biter. GG's to Fraggle. See if we can get him in here for an interview. Zero Rush not far behind, and Mr. Entity right on his tail.
And Fraggle giving us the suplexing the train meme here.
So Fraggle's going to take a quick break, and he'll be in to interview in just a minute. Meanwhile, I think that's going to do it for Zero Rush. Nope, he's still got one more goner to go. Ooh, this is going to be close. Ooh, and the damage just pays off. And Mr. Entity finishes in second place. With Zero Rush just behind. See if we can close the deal here.
Wow, 58-second difference. My goodness.
Yep, our third runner should be within a minute. Well, another minute here. Looks like he's waiting around for that next charge up, and here's the big push. And Mildane is making his way up. He's fighting those bosses who'll be in soon, but there's the finish from Zero Rush. Well done to all three of our Kefka runners here. We'll stick around for Mildane, who's not far behind, but we'll see if we can get Fraggle in for an interview first, since he is our winner.
Yeah, absolutely. GG Zero Rush, GG to all. My goodness. Three
All right.
finishes within a minute and a half.
Yeah. Okay, and we have our winner by a nose. Fraggle. GG's, my friend. Welcome.
Thank you. And wow.
Yeah, that was a crazy finish. I know you couldn't see it on your screen, but that was neck and neck for pretty much the entirety of Kefka's Tower.
Awesome. I'll enjoy watching this one back.
Yeah, so the big difference here was the routing. You and Zero Rush went completely different directions, and you both entered Kefka's Tower right at the exact same time, but the path that you chose happened to have better spells along with it, so I think the damage output was ultimately the factor. But why don't you tell us a little bit about how the seed went for you? We haven't done we haven't done split XP in a while, or the low character requirements. So why don't you give us your thoughts?
Well, I quite like this set, low character requirements coming in, because it leads to more like risky plays or just gunning it. You've got an approach and you're just gonna go for it. With the split XP, it doesn't bother me whether it's on or off, because I know some people really hate it, but I find you've got, for this flag set, it was an 8 times multiplier. You could easily just min-max your entire party and build it around like 2 or 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I found them 2 experience eggs, and it's just like, yeah, let's throw them on, let's get a nice level spread in the party, so the average is in the middle. And then that played well for Kefka's tower, because the path I sent me 2 high-level characters on was Dad and Vargas and the Ipoos.
Mm-hmm.
As for, well, the rest of it, the routing, I think Floating Continent let me down just with it being Goddess there. That was my only gripe about it. Running into her up there, just ugh.
Yep. I think Mildane did Floating Continent quite a bit later, so he didn't have trouble. Mr. Entity actually didn't have any trouble with Goddess at all, but y'all had diverged slightly before then, so he had a couple spells you didn't have. But I think it was a good choice to just nope out, because since you found Sabin, you opened up so many more checks you could just do quicker, I think. So not a bad play.
Yeah, normally I'll see Floating Continent through to the end, but in this case it wasn't worth it. With Brontos and then that at the end of it.
Brachiosaur, I think.
Brachiosaur, yeah. The horrible one.
Yeah. Luckily, the run from all flag was on, so we could get away from anything. But regardless, it was well done, and you did take first by a nose. Karant, did you have anything for Fraggle?
Well, no, I just wanted to say GG's first off. It was a great race. Yeah, I think when you watch it back, you're going to see, you might be looking at it on the stream now, the top 3 out of the 4 were within a minute and a half. So it was a fantastic race. And so thank you very much. But no, I don't have any pressing questions, just GG. And thank you for agreeing to be on the restream.
Not a problem. It's always fun. I'm gonna duck out so you can tell Mr. Entity off for over menuing, apparently. And with that, praise Atma, boo Jack.
Great. Thanks, Fraggle. And now we'll get Mr. Entity in here to talk a little bit. Welcome, Mr. Entity. GG's on the second place finish by a matter of 30-ish seconds.
Thanks.
That was a good one. Pretty much the entirety of Kefka's Tower was neck and neck. I think you entered in a couple minutes behind, doing some last-minute shopping and stuff, but pretty much right there the whole time. And you, maybe not by far, but I think you had the most offense, and you caught up very well there. So, tell us a little bit about how it went for you and how you enjoyed.
One of the main things I remember is fighting Chatternook, and every single time Edgar swung his sword, it procced. That was nice.
Yeah.
And I did a real clutch hide and win near the start by breaking my shields and winning with poison and 50 health left.
I remember that. Something I was going to ask you about was I noticed you were doing multi-targeting on your shield breaks. Was that intentional, or
no,
you just...
not intentional. Just
okay.
That's a thing I always forget exists because I didn't know about it till a few months ago. I was not aware you could single target the breakables.
Yeah. Unintuitively, you have to basically hit to the right instead of up or down or anything to change the targeting on the enemies. But Anyway, I mean, ultimately it didn't matter. You got through it, but I was noticing you're just splitting damage on those shields, and I was curious if you just really wanted to take out those other Hide Knights or what. So anyway,
I mean, had I been thinking about it, I probably would have multi-targeted the first one and then single-targeted the second one.
Right. Well. Anyway, so you done well. How do you like playing with split XP and low character requirements?
Low character requirements I don't find are usually that much different from regular character requirements, because by the time you've got the number of espers that's usually paired with it, which is usually normal amount or higher, you've gotten almost 7 characters anyway.
Right.
Most of the time.
Yeah, I think the main difference is it can change your routing to go do checks where you know there can't be a character, maybe earlier than you normally would. And also you can choose to just nope out of character checks if indeed you have enough checks remaining to get your final espers. So
that was not the case for me today.
It wasn't the case for pretty much anyone, but nobody, I think, finished with more than 7, I don't think, so it wasn't too far off.
Yeah, and the split XP, seemingly every time that comes up in a race I do, I wind up with at least 1 experience egg, and then it doesn't matter.
Yep, I was thinking the same thing. We should, maybe we should lobby for a no experience egg flag, but that might be a little overkill.
I mean, in terms of making split XP different from regular, that would do something to change it up, but yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't play it much differently either way.
Yeah. Well, it was well done. Karant, did you have anything for Mr. E?
No, I just wanted to say GG. It was a very good race. As Boo was saying, your fight against the Kefka sequence was really good because you made up a lot of time on that, and we were watching Zero Rush and Fraggle taking on Kefka, and then you were climbing up to him. So it was a really good race. Thank you for being on the restream. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. Apparently, like a minute 40 seconds between the top 3 people. So
yeah, it was a barn burner there at the end. I think all of you at one point were on tier 2 at the same time, and I think even tier 3 at the same time, except Zero Rush and Fraggle were just moving on to tier 4 as you hit tier 3. But it was super close. And actually, Zero Rush was technically in the lead all the way up until tier 3, and then Fraggle had him by about maybe 5 seconds hitting into tier 4.
Yeah.
Zero Rush just had a little more trouble with the final Kefka because his damage output wasn't quite as high, but all in all, it was super close. It was a good race. So anyway, final thoughts before we get Zero Rush in here?
No, just thanks to the Raystream team, and as always to Atma, and we'll see you around for the next one.
Great. Thanks, Mr. E. GG's again. And we'll see if we can get Zero in here for some words, as Mildane is taking on tier 2, making his way right through the Kefka fight. Seemingly with little trouble.
Yeah, I didn't really see anything that he had any particular issue with on phase 1.
Okay, I'm going to bring Zero Rush in here, and we have him with us now. GG Zero, well done.
Good games. Thank you. How's it going?
That good, man. That was a really good race. You guys were super tight. For pretty much almost all of Kefka's Tower, you and Fraggle, and also slightly less so Mr. Entity, were all neck and neck. The benefit they had was so you went to Kefka at Narsh and went that way. They diverged and went to Ancient Castle first and went the Floating Continent way. And while you all converged at the same time on Kefka's Tower, they just happened to have better spells from the espers they found. So I found it really interesting that both your routes were totally viable and the same speed. They just got a little luckier in terms of damage output anyway. But how did you find it?
It was a pretty rough start actually, because thankfully I found that Ragnarok, which I don't know, as far as I could tell, was like the only good weapon in the entire game. There's like a wing edge somewhere, but that was about it. Because I had 2 magic power 2 espers, and I had Realm and Terra, which is like dream,
The
right? But
dream, yeah.
the bolt was ×3, and I just couldn't find anywhere to get enough magic points. Like I killed when I did the ancient castle, I killed the dragon just because I wanted the magic points to
Right.
learn some spells and get flare up and running and stuff like that. After that, it went by a lot faster, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
I
think
got there with
strategically-
Bolt 2 eventually, so
Right.
it worked
Yeah, I
out.
think strategically you played very well. Especially like in the Kefka fight, I was paying attention. You made good use of mute and stop and that sort of thing. So I think it was well done. I think you just got unlucky with the checks that you happened to do, not in terms of time, but I think the other runners all had all 3 tier 3 spells, or at least fire and ice.
Ugh.
And they're also running into. They found a couple aura lances and things to use. I noticed you found a couple dragon horns, but didn't find who was it that has natural jump?
I think it was Saban that had it.
Saban had natural jump, so that would have been good for you to find. But he was on floating continent, of course. So
That's unfortunate.
yeah. So
I
it was interesting to see how the 2 different paths both diverged and converged.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I had the magic power espers. Otherwise, not having those 2 or 3 spells probably would have cost me a lot more. There's there's a couple other things I might have, I possibly could have done better. Like I had to refight Doom Gaze once because apparently 2 of my characters were multiples of 5, and I didn't really think about that at the time. But maybe in the future I'll double check that and like make sure I fight a random encounter, because it was the Elite River, so I had to do like a couple extra random battles, and that was about it really though. That and like 3rd try auction house kind of slows me down a little bit, but with the spells I had, I don't know, I felt like the Kefka fight went really smoothly. The Meteo phase and tier 3 was a little rough, but
that was
outside of that,
we were slightly worried about that one, but I think he did the right thing and just trudged through, and yeah, it was well done. And you nearly had it. It was right up until I think you were in the lead until tier 3, and Fraggle was about 5 seconds ahead of you going into tier 4. It's just his firepower just outdid it in the end, but it was a good showing. It was a good race. Karant, did you have anything for Zero Rush?
Well, I had a couple of questions. You actually answered when you were talking about the dragon, the blue dragon in Ancient Castle. I was going to ask about that, about whether because we were speculating whether you had taken it knowing that it was unscaled, and it sounds like from your answer you did, because sounded like you had a pretty good intentionality on that one.
Yeah, I was just really hoping it wasn't like Dirt Dragon or something, but I was pretty confident I could have handled any of the other dragons.
Right.
Pearl Dragon or White Dragon might have been rough, just spamming Pearl a bunch of times at the start, but I was hoping Edgar could live through that.
Yeah. Another question that we were speculating about was when you went into Mobley's, we were wondering if you knew that you could check with an NPC in one of the houses to see what it was before you got it, or you just weren't really worried about that.
I did not know that, actually, but I think I still would have went for it just because Setzer's checks are pretty good. So, like, I didn't need him at that point, I don't think, but I mean, I still needed like 6 or 7 espers at that point, so I probably would have still gone for it anyway.
I admit I forget exactly which NPC it is. I think it's in the first house where you initially go when you're doing Mobley's and Vanilla. But yeah, I've only known about that for probably a couple of weeks myself, so I'm certainly not going to sit here and claim that I'm all powerful anything, but it's something I learned fairly recently, so we were just speculating on that too.
Yeah, I feel like every week I learn about a new NPC who tells you stuff. Last week it was the Whelp Cave giving you the other weapon shot item I learned about. That was a fun one.
Yeah, so in Mobla's, you can go into that first house. There's also a treasure check in there, by the way, in the clock. But in that first house, you go down to the basement, and there's a girl in pink, and towards the back of the room, who will say, "You're not going to take away X, are you?" And it'll tell you exactly what that reward is. So it's helpful if you're just looking for one last Esper, one last character. That especially that's kind of a long fight. There's a 2-phase fight.
Yeah.
So just FYI, there's also Also, that was vanilla Funbaba. Both phases, which I thought was interesting. There's actually quite a bit of vanilla in this seed. The Blue Dragon was vanilla. Kefka and Arsh was vanilla. Funbaba was vanilla. But anywho, So anyway, that was. Sorry, Karant. Did you have any more?
No, that's pretty much it.
More cues. All right. Well, Mildane is on his final fight, final Kefka phase here, just blasting away. So, any last thoughts before we let you go, Zero?
No, it sounds like it was a really good race, so I'm definitely going to watch it back. But thanks for having me on the restream and commentating.
For sure. Well, GG's again, and we'll see you in the next.
Thanks.
All right. So, Goner's not going to be too big of an issue for him here. I honestly haven't been keeping track of his damage numbers during that interview, so I'm not sure where he is in the fight. But 2 dead, and already took 1 Goner, so we might be in counter time here. As in, anything he does is going to be met with a Havoc Wing or a Hyperdrive, or potentially an Ultima.
Ooh, yuck. Oh, that's no fun. That's another part of the Kefka fight that I'm still kind of learning to a degree, is what points are, where do the counters come in?
Yeah, so basically the first half of his HP pool, he's has 62,000 total HP. Basically within the first 30,000, you're safe to attack. And then once he hits about half, that's when he starts with the Hyperdrives and the Havoc Wings. And then when he gets down to roughly 10,000 HP, I think it's like 10,250 or something, that's when he can start countering with Ultima, in which case he will do it 1/3 of the time. But he made it through. Mildane taking out Kefka. Nice job there. Nice recovery. And
GG Mildane.
We'll see if we can get him in an interview as well.
I'll also mention, as a quick aside, Mildane came in 5th place total in the race, as Ficta had finished in 4th place off screen with a time of 2:03:06. So GG's to Ficta as well. And we still have, it looks like 2 or 3 others still running. I'm going to ping the entrance real quick and see who we have left. Looks like off screen we still have Lunar Chimera and Rumblefish82 still running. So make sure.
I think we may be giving one of them a host when we're done here, depending on our restreamer Jofus is going to handle that. But stick around and watch our other runners finish.
Shortly.
I'm going to bring in Mildane here. And here he is, Mildane. GG's. Congrats on the finish.
Yeah, GG, Mildane.
And you are muted if you. And here he is, Mildane. GG's. Congrats on the finish.
Thank you.
Yeah, GG,
Might
Mildane.
be having some microphone issues. And you are muted if you didn't notice.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
And might be having your last
nope, I'm here
microphone
now.
issues.
Maybe.
I will try to vamp for a minute.
Some changes to.
There you are.
Enable push to talk.
And
I forgot about it.
You're okay. There you are.
Hey, I understand.
Yes, sorry about that.
Welcome.
I made some changes to Discord and enabled push to talk, and then forgot about it.
For you? Okay, there you are.
Hey, I understand.
Cool. I think I had
welcome. GG's again on the finish. That was a respectable time. How did it go for you?
I think I had a pretty solid start to it, and then kind of lost my way in the middle. So I realized, I'm not gonna have the best time here. So I'll try and just play it safe at this point.
Right on top of them for a good portion of the run there. Where do you think things started to go a little sideways for you?
I feel like I hit a good run of dead checks. I don't remember where exactly it was, but I think I wound up with 7 or 8 elemental shields from various things, which is nice, but kind of a slowdown.
Apparently we're maybe having some audio issues on the restream. See if Jofus can look into it, but there's everybody. Okay, I think we fixed it. Sorry. So one more time. Where did your route start giving you some trouble?
I can't remember exactly. I remember I hit a bunch of dead checks in the middle. I getting a bunch of elemental shields and not seemingly making any progress, and then
yes.
wasted some time trying to make that up at the auction house and not getting anywhere.
Yeah, so this seed did turn up quite a few dead checks for all our runners. You, Mr. Entity, and Fraggle pretty much took all the same routes until you went to Kefka at Narsh. I believe it was you who went to Kefka at Narsh, right? You did that check?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. So Zero
Yeah,
Rush actually went
Sarah was
there.
at Narsh and then
Yeah,
went
yeah.
back well.
So Zero Rush went there early and actually diverged completely from the rest of the runners. But interestingly, hit Kefka's Tower at pretty much the exact same time as Fraggle and Mr. Entity. But all the runners ran into a lot of dead checks. We saw 5 or 6, I think, this seed, and a lot of elemental shields. While it's super not great to make no progress through the seed, all those elemental shields do make for some good breakables and defense.
Yes, and I mean with 2 magic plus 2 espers, just casting level 2 spells.
Yeah, that was. I think the seed was fairly generous up front, especially with the elemental shields and the number of characters that were available. But yeah, the dead checks were not the best. But I think it was a well-run race. We still got a couple other runners running. But Karant, did you have anything for Mildane here?
The one question that I had was right at the end. I think you mentioned after a while you kind of felt like you were losing steam a little bit, so you were trying to sort of play it safe and have some fun. I assume that having fun bit explains you changing your names toward the end.
Yes, yeah. I have always I do that occasionally if I'm not taking a run too seriously. For the good luck of the puzzle from Daryl's tomb, because the world is square.
Yes, absolutely. And considering how crazy the world's been in the last year or so, we definitely could use some levity. Okay, but that was the only question I had.
Why I did the toilet atma check as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was kind of wondering if you're just maybe looking for more items or, having some fun. So either way, that's cool. So I think that's going to do it for the stream tonight. Did you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No. Thanks for doing this as always.
Great.
Oh, no problem. GG.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Community Race. As a reminder, we have our finals, the grand finale of the Kefka Grand Prix tomorrow night at, I'm pretty sure it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And that'll be a showdown between Lockco Live and Jackamus Wedge, vying for second and third place, since I took first earlier in the week and just decided not to play in the final. So please tune in for that, and as always, be sure to come join our Discord, come check out the game. Lots of helpful people there, lots of helpful guides and whatnot along the way to help you get started. Come join us to run the races. Restreaming is not required if that's not your thing. But we're running asynchronous races and weekly races all the time, so please come check it out and make sure to give our runners and our crew a follow. Karant, any closing words?
I just wanted to add my felicitations. Congrats to all the runners, both on stream and off. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It was a fun race, especially that photo finish at the end was pretty amazing, and it's always great to see that strategy. So it's definitely a grand old time. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Follow all the links that were posted, and have a great rest of your night.
Great, thanks, Karant. And so we are going to host another one of our runners who's just about finishing up Rumblefish 82. So stick around for that. Thanks to all, and thanks again to Atmatech, the creator of Worlds Collide. And we will see you guys next time. We out.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for sticking around. Enjoyed it. Hopefully I didn't talk over you too much. Sometimes I ramble.
No, that's fine. It's I was actually just thinking myself. I'm like, man, I completely goofed this up a few times. Oh, I'm
I do not goof it up, so